Video, we're going to have a look at the latest upgrade to Fluent CRM, and that is in the email editor. So here we have Fluent CRM installed. We have the Pro version installed, as the new editor is only available in the Pro version. So what we're going to do then is just create a campaign, and then in the campaign you'll see that we can now design our email, and we have this new content option here called the Template Visual Builder. So I'm going to select that, and now you'll see that you're given three options. You have the blank version, the standard version, and a sales version. So to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is just see how quick and easy it would be to put together an email here with the standard version. So I'm going to select that, and you'll see that when the standard version loads up, it's really nice. You have a space at the top for your logo. Then we have some text, a call to action, some thank yous, and then some get in touch info, some social media, and the unsubscribe section. So let's just have a look at how easy it would be to edit the mailer now. I'm going to head up here to this logo, and I'd like to replace that. So I'm going to go to upload image, and I'm just going to choose one of these product images then as the logo. So let's select the first image there. So that was very easy. We've inserted the image. That worked really well. Let's just have a look at inserting a different image. So here we have this landscape view. Let's have a look at what that looks like. Now, what you'll also notice now is that when I go to upload image, here at the bottom, after selecting an image here on the bottom right, you'll see here that we have the attachment display settings. And at the moment, it's set to the size medium 300 by 200. What I'm going to do now is go in and just select the large and insert into post. And what you'll see is that the image doesn't automatically go to the largest size. Over here, you'll see that you have this width option at the moment set to 32%. So let's slide that all the way along to 100%. And then you'll see that you can adjust the size of the image. And in this case, we've just put this landscape image. But now if I was to go back and select that logo image, now the logo image is 800 by 800. So we've gone here with full size. What I'm going to do is go for a smaller size. So let's just go for the thumbnail, for example. And if we pop that in, you'll see how pixelated it is. So if I go back now, select the same image and choose the full size, insert into post, that'll reload, and now you can see that you have a much sharper version. So you can insert images to the specific size that you're looking to use, which is really nice. There's also this auto width feature here. So if I move that to auto width now, and I change the image, and I'm going to go for, let's say, this image here. Let's have a look and see what the width would be. And there you'll see it's uploaded into full width. Now if I disable that, and I'm going to move that down to that size, and if I now select auto width, you'll see that it will adjust automatically to the largest width, good width for that image. And in this case, it will fit that entire area. So that's how easy it is then to ensure that your images are always sharp. If you do have a smaller image, simply select the auto width, and then the maximum width where the image would still be in focus would be selected, providing it was uploaded that way. So that's how easy we can work then with images. There's another option here for more images. So if we select that, this is a really neat feature, because here we're straight into stock photos, and you'll see that this is powered by Unsplash, Pexels, Pixabay. So there you have three different image providers. So if I was to head in here and maybe go with a cityscape, and we do a search, you'll see we'll be getting a really good wide spread of images that we can then use on the website. And to select one to use then very easily, if I wanted to choose this one, there it is, and that's now in the email. And I'm going to save that, and then I'm just going to head over to the media folder, because the next question might be, well, is that image being saved to the media folder? And as you can see, that image is not being saved to the media folder. Right, so there we have, we've inserted an image, or just replaced the image. Let's say we wanted to add our own image. Then I'm going to close this tab here, and the next option I'll look for is image, and I can then drag that over to where I want it to be, drop it in, select that image area. You'll see this is just a standard placeholder image, and now I'm going to go in, select, let's select something else. Well, let's just select that image, for example, and let's say that was the logo. So there we have a landscape image. Here we have the logo. You'll see that it's on auto width. I'm going to take it off auto width, and then we'll just include a smaller image, something like that. So very nice, easy, flexible way to insert images. Next thing we'll look at here, you'll see that you can add some alternate text. So we'll call this City by Night. That's great. Then, of course, you have the image link, which is the image URL. And a couple of options here. So in the image link, you can open a website, send an email, call a phone number, or send an SMS. So what's really nice is if you wanted to say, well, if they click on that image, then call a phone number, then we simply select that as the link, and then you can put in your number here. Somebody clicks on that image, and they'll be able to make a phone call straight away. So that is a feature that I've not seen before. Or, of course, you've got the open website, send an email, or even send an SMS. So we'll just, well, let's say just leave it on open website for now. Then we have target, which is to open in a new tab, which is by default because it is an email. And then here we have the container padding. So if you wanted to make this image stretch all the way to the edge and you wanted to get rid of that white space, no problem. Head down here, and as you see, as we adjust the size, and then we can get it all the way to the edge. So now your mail can have a nice wide stretching image at the top, followed by some text below. So that's then just a brief summary of what's possible with the images. Last thing to have a look at then is the alignment of the image. If I wanted to align that to the left or the right, then this is where I can do that alignment. So that'll work on slightly smaller images. Right, so that pretty much wraps up what we can do then with the image. You'll see there's another option here with responsive design to hide on desktop. So if you didn't want that image to display on the desktop, you could hide it. And there may be the odd occasion for that feature. So that's super. Let's now that we've handled the image, now maybe you want to have an image on the left and some text to the right. And there you'd want to look at something like a column. So we'll drop in the column, and then you have a wide selection of options. So we're just going to look at something like that. And now what we want to have a look at doing is seeing, is it possible to drag an element into another element? So I'm going to drag it from here and drop it in here. And yes, it is. You can move your elements on the screen by dragging and dropping them to different sections. And now that I've dropped it in there, I think now I'm going to go for the auto image, and immediately it's now the full width of that particular area. If I wanted my image to fill that space completely, move down, and you'll now see that the container padding is set to 10, and it's a lot less than the original big image that was set to 20. So that's quite a nice little feature. And then for the container padding, you'll see there are more options, and that just allows you to create separate padding options for each element. So in this case, though, we'll just stick to the auto, and right, we're happy with that image dropped in there. I'm going to move up, close that off, and now I'd like to add in, let's say, some text and a button. So I'm going to add some text, and then I'm also going to add a button. Right, so now we've added some text and a button into that column. Let's just have a look at some of the other options available to us now. So we've gone for the 2-column option, and then here you can see we have the column properties, so column 1 and then column 2. And you'll see here that we have some padding options that are available to us if we wanted to use. So we could wrap padding now around the individual elements. So if I make that 20, you'll see now that we have 20 pixels padding around those elements, which is really nice. We can also adjust the border. So let's have a look and see where that border would be applied. And you'll see it's the border for the column. So if I increase that, and you'll notice that the border grows inwards, which is really nice. So that ensures that the column on the left is unaffected by the border changes, and the border changes don't leak off outside of the email template. So that's also really great. Here we have the option for a background color. So you can see we can make that color anyway, anything that we want. Right, a little bit strange here that we are editing. So what exactly am I editing here? Because you'll see now that this element stretches outside of the column. So I'm on column 2, and so there's another content element at play here. So when you're selecting, so we selected the first section, in fact. Then we selected the second, and it looks like a whole section. And for some reason, our background column color, even though we've set it to no color, so I'm not sure. Then we've got row properties. So I was in the row properties. So just be careful then. The row properties allow you to create color all the way across your page, whereas the column background is just for that column. So something I had not seen before. But here then we can come in and set the column background. So, and the nice thing is you have full control over that color. So you can pretty much adjust it the way that you want. So that's really nice. And the same goes for column 1. So column 2, and then we have the padding that we already set, and then the border. And then you have these row properties. So what's really nice is that it does allow you to add another dimension into your mail and to draw attention. So for example, we could start up here with the row properties, with the row background, and maybe we go with a darker color. So that would immediately be a way that you can enhance or draw attention to that top image. So by going for a darker color, it would enhance the image. Now in this case, that's a pretty dark image. Yeah, so theoretically, you'd like to go for a darker color for the background. That'll just help to accentuate the content. So if I go back to that row, and now you'll see that I have access to column 1. So the image is already placed into a column 1, which means that if I wanted to change the border around that image, I could do that and then create a border around that image, which is really nice, and then also adjust the color. So yeah, so this gives you a lot of control over the images in your mail, and automatically they adhere to the same pattern as you add the elements, which means you can edit them all in a similar fashion. So that's great. There we have the mail, and we're creating something really unique that most people probably wouldn't have seen before in an inbox, which is fantastic. We can also add a background image. So let's say, for example, we're having a look at this row properties, and we have a background image we'd like to consider. Now, in this case, there was no option to access the Pixabay or the stock images that I could see. So in this case, what we've done is we just uploaded an image, and you'll see here, so repeat, you can set repeat. So we're going to go no repeat, center, full width. So here's where you can try and set the position of that image. Now you can see it's the upper skyline of that image that we uploaded. We can move that to the center. Now it's the center of that image. And let's have a look. So we have full width. So when you're looking at uploading or using an image, then you really need to look at an image that is going to fit the profile. So let's try something that would maybe have a little bit more content visible. So we'll insert that image, and there you can actually see a little bit more of the image and get some context. So for the background image, you'd really have to try and upload something that's going to work for your particular mailer. So in this case, we don't really have anything that's going to work. So I'm not going to worry about that. Now, this we applied in the row properties, and you'll actually see it coming through here in the column background. So I'd like to remove this image completely, and there we have that image removed. So that's great. What I can do though is have a look at the background color of that row, and maybe we'll just do something. So what you'll notice is that if you don't have a border set, then in that padding it will inherit the row background, unless of course you've set a background color for your particular column. So at the moment no background color, so if I come in here and I change that background color, then you'll see that where that padding is, there's now that background color. So here we had a border and the padding. Here we just have no border but the padding. So yeah, very easy then to start really creating some interesting mails. If you want to edit the text itself, so simply select the text and you'll see you have a host of editing options, which is fantastic. And then on the right hand side, you'll see that you can from here as well, you can change the color. So maybe we'll go for a darker red. You can align the text in different ways. You've also got align height, so if you want to give that a bit more space, that's great. Inherit body styles, you can select that or choose not to select that. And then you have this general and you have container padding. So that comes back to the container for the text, and you'll see it already has a padding value, and you can adjust that as well. So once again, really nice. And then when it comes to the button, of course, you'd want to insert a link. So right at the top, you have the option then to insert a URL. And once again, you can choose to open a website, send an email, call a phone number, or send an SMS. So that's really great. The button options, the text, the background. Let's just maybe keep that with this kind of red flavor. So there we have, here we have an auto width option, or you can adjust, and in this case we've adjusted it to a full 100%. Now you'll also see here that we have some padding, and this is the padding in that button. So if I was to drop 10, you'll see that it's a little bit narrower now, and I can, right, so that's the top, bottom, left and right padding, and then there's a border, and the border is set to solid. And of course then if we were to activate that, then you'd have something along those lines. And then of course, to make it look like a button, you might want to just round those corners a bit, so maybe 10 pixels. Right, so once again, some container padding. So in this case, maybe you want to make that button the same size as the text or a little bit wider than the text. Then this is where you can change that setting. So yeah, another great way to adjust the content on the page, and it works super easy. So you can start creating some really interesting mails. Other nice thing now is that we can also look at this in the mobile view. So I'm going to head over to mobile, and you'll see we have the image. Then we have the kind of, that was the logo image. Then we have the paragraph with the button, and you'll see how it's starting to just align all the items as it would one after the other. What I'm going to do then is on this particular image, you'll see now that in the mobile view it's set to auto width, and I'm going to see now if I was to change that on the mobile view, head back to desktop, and you'll see that in desktop I have now a different design to the design that I'm going to have for mobile. So Fluent CRM have done a fantastic job in giving you complete freedom, or a lot more freedom than you would find in a lot of other editors. So this really allows you to create some truly amazing emails. So very happy with what's possible here. And scroll down, and I think we can close that off, and let's just have a look at some of the other elements. And as you can see here, you've got columns, buttons, dividers. So a divider, for example, would be something like that. So just a dividing line between elements, and maybe you want to highlight that button in a way. So that would be one way then to highlight the button. You can also insert some HTML, and that would really just be some basic HTML. So once again, a lot of freedom to use the elements, and if you don't want to use that element there, simply delete and it's gone. And then also if you want to move elements around, it's as simple as just dragging, and you can insert them, as we saw earlier, into columns as well. So that's really good. If you want to duplicate and use somewhere else, simply duplicate and then drag it to where you want that second button to be. I'm going to delete that though. Right, the next couple of options that we have, so that's a very big powerful start. The next option we have here is we have layouts, and you'll see here that we have some pre-made elements, and this will just make it easier when you're putting together mail, so you don't always have to start from the blank canvas. And as you saw when we started here, we didn't start from a blank canvas. So if we wanted to pull that into the mailer, I'm going to pull in that call to action, and now we have the call to action, and I can insert that anywhere inside the content, and you'll see I'm just dragging it up and down between the elements. So very easy to then even move these pre-made elements, and then you can actually see how they're put together. So if it was something that you wanted to create on your own, you can use this as an example and then create your own elements. So if I go to mobile now, you'll see that it works on mobile and it works on desktop in that pre-made image or pre-made layout. So here we have some pre-made content, and then if you wanted, for example, two products next to each other, you'll see that that is already done for you, and then it's just a case of coming in and editing. So a lot of really nice features. If we look at that in mobile, you'll see the elements are then aligned one under the other. So that'll just speed up things if you need to start putting stuff together, which is really nice. Let's delete that. Right, so that was the layout. And over here, you'll see pre-made content and a link that clicks through to all. So if we go to all, these would be all the pre-made content elements. I'm pretty sure there'll be more coming in the future, and I'm sure this won't be all the elements, but as we go, there'll be a few more. You can also set the global style, so you can set the text color. If I was to change the text color here, you'll see that all the text goes to red, and I can then just slide it back down, everything moves to black. So that does make it nice and quick and easy to adjust the color for your mail. So you'll see that was really easy. The default background color as well, if you wanted to give your mailer maybe something like that. So now scroll down, you can set all that here as well. The content width at the moment set to 600, which is pretty standard, but of course you could adjust that a bit wider or narrower. Content alignment, everything down the middle, or down the left hand side. In this case, I think we'll just leave it down the middle. And then we have the font family. So you can change that font family to whatever it is that you want for the mail. So that's also really nice. Then we have some pre-header text. If that was the pre-header text, the pre-header is a short summary text that follows the subject line when viewing the email from the inbox. So that would only be available in the inbox, but this is where you can insert the pre-header text. And then here we have the default for links. So the blue is pretty much a standard color, but if you had a different theme, then you can change that to whatever color you want. And then what will happen is that inside the actual mail, if you've overridden the color, it wouldn't be affected by that change. It'll only take effect if it's just standard text that hasn't been affected by anything. Right, so there we have the basics done, and then of course we have stock media, and you can see all these different images, which is really cool. And then if you want to use an image, you can literally just drag that image onto your page, and the image is going to then be inserted into your mail. So it's literally as easy as dragging across, and then when you click on it, you'll see you have all the image options available to you. So I'm just going to delete that, but you can see now how easy it is then to bring stock images into your mails and make them a lot easier. So absolutely fantastic. So yeah, big thumbs up to the designers, the developers that put this together to make this one of the easiest to use and best text mail editors. Right, let's just have a look. Let's move on then to the continue to the subject settings, because ultimately what we would like to do is let's send in the subject here, let's just go test email, because what we do want to do is have a look and see how this would look in the email as it comes through. And here you can see you can also set the email pre-header here. So pre-header details here, and then send a test email. And I'm going to send myself a test email. Okay, so we need to add one subscriber. So what I'm going to do then is add a contact. So let's go to all contacts. And I'm going to add one subscriber. So let's add contact. Right, so we've created that content. I'm subscribed. Let's go back to the campaign. And you'll see we're taken then back to the step that we were at. I'm going to send a test email, and that looks better. And then send a test email. Right, so the email was sent, and what we're going to do now is just call up that email and have a look at what that looks like. So here we are, we have the mail come in, and I'm just going to enlarge that, and right, that looks pretty much like what we had in the designer. So if I just make that a little bit smaller, and I was to just go back here. So the mail design is now loading, and we can just have a look and see. So that was the mail design. And now when I look at the email that was received, I think you'll agree that we pretty much have, that did even pre-fill my first name, and yeah, the various details. So yeah, very nicely done. The email received is exactly the same as the email that was sent. The other test to do, of course, is to see what this would look like in Outlook. So let me call up the Outlook email. So here we have the email in Outlook, and you'll notice it follows the normal option where the images aren't loaded. So I'm going to click here and download pictures, and let's have a look and see how they pull through. So yeah, this is a little bit different to what we had in the design. So if I have a look here, you'll see that on the Gmail it came through exactly as we had it in the design. So I'm not too worried about the Gmail representation. So I'm just going to go back here. So that's how we designed it. And then when we have a look at that coming through in Outlook, you'll see that the Outlook design is a little bit different. The image at the top didn't come through as the full image, but as a smaller version. Then we had the logo, which was fine. We then have the text, which kind of looks okay, but there's a whole lot of additional space added here. And if we move that down, then here we had the add your own hero, and the background image for some reason hasn't pulled through. And then the bottom of the website of the mailer seems to be okay. So it looks like it has to do with putting in the images. Then you'll notice that if there are problems with how this message is displayed, click here to view in a web browser. So let's view in browser. I'll just say okay. And then this is how it shows in the browser, which is basically, it just looks like the text version. Yeah, so that's not great. So yeah, so Outlook has never really played fair with mails, but this is something that would need to be adjusted one way or another. And there's, yeah, so the Outlook presentation not as good as the standard Gmail or web-based mails, but still a big improvement on previous mail designers. Right, well, that was the outcome then of the of sending the email. So it would need some testing. So when you're putting together an email, it would need a little bit of testing here with your content and layout to try and get it looking good. Perhaps here, instead of auto width, maybe the better choice then is to set it to 100% and then to send the test mail. Right, so that's been sent. Maybe then we have a look at that in Outlook. So so if we look at that mail here now, and we were to say download the pictures, then you'll get the full image displayed. So important then when you're creating your mail to set the width of the image to percentages and not to the auto setting. So it looks like that auto setting doesn't quite work as it should. And even here, there's a lot of additional space added for what looks like no particular reason. And if we just look at the differences here, maybe it's a case then of adding a border to your columns, then just to make sure that there is an alignment here. So what I'm going to do then is just go back on here now. And also you'll notice that the background image for the call to action wasn't showing, which is this image here. So if we go to this content element, add your own hero title, and what we're looking for is the row setting. So here we have the column, right? And there is a background image, and this is the image URL which was being served from Fluent CRM. So I'm going to change that. Let's see if I select an image on the website here. Let's say that one. Right, so now we're using just that. We just want to see if that image comes through. And what I'm also going to do is this column here on the left, we're going to look at adding a border. So to get to the column, the easiest way is to click the row, and then you'll see the column options. If you click on the actual column, you see you get the content. So the easiest way then is to click the row and then select column 1 or column 2. This is column 1. Let's go solid, and we'll make it the same size. Right, and we'll just give it a slightly different color so we can differentiate. and then we'll save. So I think this background was the last thing that we need to see. So we'll continue to create a test email. So let's send a new test email. Right, email has been sent. And then I'm going to go to Outlook and let's have a look and see what comes through now. Now I'm going to download pictures. So there we have the background image. That's great. Here we or the image. Here we added a border, and now we have a better alignment of those elements. As you can see, still not sure what's causing the additional spacing, but it does look a little bit better. And then if we head on down, we still don't have the background image being pulled through. So perhaps the best thing then is for Outlook is to make sure that the background image, maybe you have a background color. So if we go back to the website, and what I'll do then is we'll just go back and now what we're going to do is we're going to, in this call to action section, you'll see that we don't have a background color. We do have the background image. And that row image is not being pulled through. So here in column 1, I'm going to add a background color, and that will then overwrite the background image. If I'm here and I do a background color, so this would be the whole row, which is not what we want. We just want something where the content is. And to make that content stand out, we probably need something quite light. So I'm just going to go with this lightish red tint. So you won't see it here because we have an image selected as well. And we'll save and continue. And let's send that test email again. Right, so now we can go back to Outlook. And we'll download the pictures. Right, so now the background image pulls through, but not the image. So now we know that on mobile or other mail programs, you might have an image. Otherwise, make sure that the background is in place to enhance the text. That's looking a little bit better, and I'm pretty sure by manipulating those borders, we could maybe get them to line up a little bit better. It's just in the way that the borders are applied. Here they actually extend beyond the width. So that just looks like an odd behavior by the borders. So yeah, I hope that just gives you a little bit of an idea of what's possible, and then also the fact that you'd need to bear in mind for other platforms what to do from the design perspective. Well, yeah, let's head back then to the site, and yeah, that pretty much wraps up then the new designer or email designer in Fluent CRM. It's a really great enhancement. It's a lot better than it was before. So yeah, happy designing. Thank you for watching.